All right, I kind of wish we just would have missed that. Man, my hair's been in a blow dryer today. We had like 40-mile-per-hour winds, so now I got like a little faux hawk.
Yeah.
In the middle of my. Why didn't you tell me?
I think you look fine.
You must love me as like a wife.
Wait, let me. This part is kind
the
of tight.
Front. Look at it's puffed. It's like this. I look like Vegeta.
It's okay.
Like a little Vegeta going. But anyways, I wish we would have shot this at the same time we did this Frank video about crows.
I
wish
know.
We got some crow balance.
That's exactly what I was thinking. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, we just did the Crows of Frank video.
We just left Texas. There was an incident where there was like the little birdie and then the crow, right?
The crow was trying to kill this other bird, dude.
The crow was jumping the bird, then made a crow call.
And then a bunch of other crows, like they didn't jump the bird,
no.
but they were lying in wait.
Yeah, they was like, bro, hit my homie. We jumping you. They hit the little pole.
Even though it was the crow that was bullying the other bird.
Yeah, no, the crow was instigating 100%.
Like, the crow was the problem.
Yeah, but he called his homies just in case we got to jump. Crows are highly intelligent, apparently highly gang activious. Okay?
But are they OP? That's the question that TierZoo was asking. I feel like he's gonna rank crows super low because everything that I think should be ranked high, he likes to rank low. So
he's gonna be ranked on like an aesthetic plane, and he's like, aesthetics don't matter.
They should.
All right, play me.
They've already lost. They just don't know it. Hit him from behind.
What did he do?
Stop looking at me.
Oh!
That was good.
That's so funny.
Also, that's a Battlefield 2 reference, by the way. The feels. It's like the best part of the channel.
Primates are notorious for their incredibly broken intelligence stat, which grants them access to incredible advanced techniques such as tool use, coordinated team strategies, and even bartering and trade. But primates are not the only faction in the game with a high intelligence stat.
That's so funny.
Cetacean, cephalopod, and bird mains also commonly opt not to spec into powerful damage-dealing abilities, and instead invest into leveling up their brainpower skill tree. While this does seem like a risky choice, leaving the player more vulnerable in direct 1v1 combat, in actuality this often results in a much less risky playthrough, as the player's intelligence opens up more options for them to progress that don't require winning in combat. This is especially true of the bird faction, as their ability to fly already allows them to quickly escape most unfavorable combat encounters. Today, we're going to discuss one of the two main intelligence-centered bird builds, the faction that contains crows, ravens, and magpies, the Corvid.
Oh.
This video is going to focus mostly on crows as an example, but generally, what I say in this video should apply to most Corvids.
Okay. Our Corvids.
First, let's discuss their stats, as well as the abilities and strategies that exemplify them.
Hella high.
We'll begin with their stealth stat, which Corvids aren't particularly excellent in. The most popular Corvid skins are either Jet Black or Piebald, neither of which grant the user that strong of a stealth bonus.
Right.
In fact, in snowy areas, Jet Black feathers are actually one of the least effective choices when trying to
You can't hide!
A dark appearance is most effective as camouflage at night, but crows and other Corvids are not nocturnal birds, so they aren't really gaining this benefit from it. Now, granted, stealth typically isn't all that important for birds, given how agile and vigilant they are.
He just took that.
Yeah, man.
He just got beat up and just took it.
Sometimes it's hard to freaking figure out that you're ranking these things based on their best qualities.
Right.
And he kind of takes into account the worst qualities later, Yeah. But he talks about, okay, they're not very camouflaged, but, And I just be sometimes I'm how do you come back from that? How do you come back from the fact that you only have stealth at nighttime? They're always gonna see you.
Now, granted, stealth typically isn't all that important for birds, given how agile and vigilant they are.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. I mean, that's just something that I think about everything eating birds all the time.
Right.
Bird is delicious. Bird is tier 1 food. And I always somehow forget that they fly. I don't know how that's something that just slips my mind.
Yeah.
Plenty of other high-tier avian builds, like for example parrots, are arguably some of the least stealthy birds in the game.
Right, obviously.
And they do just fine.
Okay, I feel like I am talking to myself. Yes, they do just fine.
You could even argue that Corvids are even less stealthy than their black feathers initially appear. as their iridescence actually makes them even easier to see for certain other players.
So they can
typically
just
other
flex.
birds. Ultimately, I think it's safe to say stealth is not an important part of their game plan. At
They
least
even
nowhere
walk
near
to
as
make a
important
noise.
as it is for ambush predator builds, like an owl. The main predators a crow needs to worry about are raptors. And
Right.
because of the raptor's keen eyesight ability, it's unlikely having a higher stealth stat would make much of a difference anyway. The crow's defense and constitution stats are fairly average for a bird, which is to say not great. Birds have hollow bones, and their feathers offer fairly little in terms of defense. Feathers do absorb some blunt force damage, but when it comes to slashing and piercing damage, it's nearly useless.
Right.
And because of their hollow bones, which make them more vulnerable to blunt force damage, the benefit there kind of cancels out as well.
Yep.
Snakes, cats, raccoons, raptors, and dogs all have a high chance of taking a crow out in one hit, so they cannot let
Damn,
their
he was
guard
not
down
fast
when
enough.
interacting with any damage dealer builds. Given that their playstyle necessitates taking some risk, crow players definitely wish they had more room for error. Thankfully, their next stat makes it pretty easy to avoid damage. The crow's mobility is a little above average for a mid-sized bird, which is to say, excellent. Birds in general are just extremely agile, both on the
Ultra
ground
instinct.
and in the air, making them extremely hard to land an attack on if they see you coming. Some bird builds, like geese and junglefowl, require significant startup in order to get airborne, meaning that they can't rely on their
Damn,
flight
he
to
got
escape
snatched
danger
up. Dang.
if the danger is already right in front of
Dang!
them.
Delicious.
Crows are
Dang!
not one
Delicious
of these
bird.
bird builds, and in contrast, the startup on their flight move has some shockingly broken frame data, and allows them to quickly and easily reposition themselves in basically any direction in 3D space almost instantly.
Look how he like strategically lands behind
Basically
the
any
dog.
direction in 3D space
Right.
almost
You know,
instantly.
like it's just like these little things that you see, like lands behind him because he knows, like you literally can't see me.
Yep.
And I know if you start to turn around, I can just start flying again.
Exactly.
You're never gonna catch me. I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe that cockiness I would think would come back and bite him in the ass every once in a while. But it's just busted.
It's all about confidence, baby.
Right.
Her ability to dodge attacks one of the best in the entire game, and makes what would normally be fairly dangerous positions, such as right next to a powerful predator, quite safe as long as the Corvid doesn't use any laggy moves.
Yeah.
This synergizes well with the Corvid's combat moveset, as we'll discuss in a moment. Corvids are blessed with many high stats, but power is not one of them.
Okay.
Their ability to deal damage is one of the weakest in their weight class, as
I
their
never
only
thought
attack
about that.
option is a simple pecking strike.
Right.
This move has quick startup and very little end lag, but its damage is egregiously low. Simply attacking with this move will deal minimal damage to anything larger than an insect. Most players will be able to ignore this attack's damage. However, this doesn't mean a crow's attacks are useless. It just means they've got to be clever about how they use them. A well-placed peck can provoke an attack, and if
Yeah,
you're
look
able to
at
move out of
this.
the way quick enough,
So funny.
the enraged player will end up being forced to lash out at whoever just happens to be
He tried to
nearby,
let it go, and he's like,
and
I just
create an
can't.
opening for the Corvid
Right,
player
like, why
to
are
capture an
you in my
objective, steal
business,
some
bro?
loot, or escape trouble. It might seem like a jank strategy, but really this is the bread and butter of Corvid gameplay,
Right.
and can lead to massive swings in advantage. The chance to afflict the enraged status effect scales with the user's intelligence stat. So the reason this strategy works so well is that the
Instigate.
Corvid's intelligence stat is ridiculously high for a
instigating.
non-primate build.
Man, do not like underestimate the power of the instigation.
Yeah.
It's just S tier. He's not involved in this at all. What service does this prove?
Look, man, he was bored. He was like, I could use some entertainment.
Bro, it just keeping the peck sharp, bro. Just, do I still got it?
I like how, like, when it didn't work the first time, he's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it again.
Like
let
they-
me just run that
They
back
didn't
one more
fight
time.
again, bro. Whoop his ass, man. He said you weak.
Corvids are tied with parrots for the highest intelligence stat in the entire avian faction.
Freaking sweet.
And in addition to enabling the goading strike moveset, having high intelligence grants Corvids access to a lot of other powerful techniques too, including the ability to use
That
tools.
was crazy.
Tool use is one of the most notoriously powerful abilities in the entire
He's
game.
driving a golf.
And in crows, this is no less true. By using hook-shaped wooden sticks,
yeah,
crows
we've
can
seen
score
this.
kills on grubs that
Yeah.
are normally safe from everything except for woodpecker attacks.
Yep.
And given how many expensive niche perks woodpeckers need to spec into in order to perform these sorts of drilling attacks,
Yep.
the ability to bypass all of that investment while still gaining the same rewards is a huge boon to the crows.
Beep.
But high intelligence has far more benefits than just allowing crows to copy the success of hyper-specialized
That's
builds.
insanity.
Arguably the most important benefit is team tactics.
Yep.
This is what allows baboons to fight off lions, what allows ants to bring down tarantulas, and what allows wolves to prey upon bison.
Good
When
Lord.
crows work together, they can capture territory and control points of interest that they'd otherwise be helpless to defend. Together, bring down
This is
tarantulas,
kind of like
and
Team
what
Kill
allows
right
wolves
here. Like
to
he
prey
just really
upon
ran
bison.
his homie
When
over.
crows
Bro.
work together,
Yeah.
they can capture territory and control points of interest that they'd otherwise be helpless to defend. They can even rescue each other from what would otherwise be guaranteed lethal attacks, using a tactic
they're
called
helping.
mobbing.
Stop it.
They're
Mobbing is a
helping.
strategy most commonly seen in birds,
what
consisting
they were
of
doing.
bombarding a single target
Yeah.
with a barrage of both physical and sonic attacks. On their own, these would be easy to shrug off, but when you're getting pecked at and screeched at from all directions at once, it inflicts heavy physical and psychic damage. This is what allows social corvids, like magpies and crows, to successfully chase away predators several times their size. Ravens, on the other hand, tend not to really need the help, as they're large enough to handle
They're
most
big as
opponents
hell.
one-on-one.
I remember the first time I saw a raven, I was like, what the fuck kind of mutant crow is this?
Right. It's huge.
It's so, like, if you've never
Huge.
seen a raven, right, and you've only ever seen crows,
Yeah.
you don't realize how big they are.
Yeah, they fat, dude.
They're so,
It's like
like-
a flying feline. It's like a cat with wings.
yes, it's massive. It's incredible. They're so cool, but, like, also terrifying.
But
got
can
my
still
way.
team up in order to lock down a good source of carry-on. Alternatively, they may even ally themselves with wolf
Look.
players,
Look how big it is compared to the wolf.
Yeah, man.
Look how large they are.
leading them to a carcass and letting them do the work fighting off
The
their
bear.
competition before sharing in the rewards. Anyway, that's a basic overview of the Corvid build. Now let's talk about their matchups. The
Yeah.
Corvid matchup chart is heavily dependent on how effective their goading strike and mobbing techniques are against a given target.
It's a bunny.
Luckily, because of how high the Corvid's intelligence stat is, the list of targets goading strike works
Rob.
against is quite
Wow.
large. It is best against builds with lower intelligence stats. Things like vultures, things like reptiles, and things like rodents.
Okay.
What's more, this technique
They're
even works on
stupid.
one of the Corvid's two
Neither.
primary threats, feline builds.
They're making them fight.
Deadly as cats are,
Wait.
they're often quite reactive and easily aggroed. So
Yeah.
goading strike is the perfect tool to redirect their ferocity.
Why?
This move is admittedly less effective against the Corvid's other main concern, raptors. However, thankfully the mobbing technique is quite effective against raptors, so for both of their main threats, the crow players have options. The only
Right,
builds
okay.
these techniques aren't that effective against are
Primates?
other high intelligence builds, such
Yeah.
as monkeys and parrots.
Okay.
Because of their extremely strong social bonding and top tier intelligence stat, parrots are highly resistant to psychic damage and do not turn on each other easily. In fact, when pestered by a corvid, they are likely to defend each other fiercely using their own, more powerful beaks and louder shrieks. One-on-one, they're fairly evenly matched,
Yelled
so
at
it
'em.
tends to just come down to size.
Ah!
But
Ah!
in groups, corvids tend to have difficulty forcing parrots away from an objective. As for monkeys, their higher HP allows them to have difficulty fairly
What's the
evenly matched,
objective
so it
here?
tends to just
There are some things that happen here that I don't understand. It's just a good standing spot,
Yeah, they want it.
just a good chill area, and they were like, "Bro, we taking this." It's
Yeah.
I told you, gang affiliation. They have it.
Yeah.
They just like, "Bro, this is our turf," and he's just like, "No."
As for monkeys, their higher HP allows them to more easily
Snatch 'em
ignore
up.
the pecking attacks of a crow.
Yeah.
And they're
He's
used to
just,
getting their
like,
tails
walking.
tugged all
Oh
the
my
time by their
God.
own party
Yeah.
members, so a crow doing it
dragging
is
the
unlikely to
baby.
provoke a punishable response. Crows and parrots have an interesting dynamic. I've said in previous videos that I believe parrots to be the more viable build.
Okay.
They have higher dexterity with their beaks, their sonic shriek attack
Watch
is
TV.
incredibly effective, they're more social, and arguably more intelligent even.
And they're prettier. Just talk about the looks a little bit.
Everybody
But a
thinks
lot.
parrots look better than crows.
Not everybody.
I don't
but
know a
lot.
single person who thinks crow better look than parrot.
There's some emo kid out there who's just like,
The parrot wears color so you don't have to. And I'm wearing black and white currently.
And yet, of the two most intelligent bird builds, there's no denying that in the city biome, corvids are much more successful.
Yeah.
I think the reason for this
Kidnap
is
that
that even
person's
though
baby.
parrots are
Yes.
indeed more powerful on their own, and are better at using most tools than crows are better at using the most important tool, other players. From provoking attacks and redirecting aggression, to using passing vehicles to deal damage for them and unlock
Yeah,
high-value
I've seen
loot.
that.
Corvids are
That
the
is so
best of the
cool.
best when it comes to using other builds' strengths to cover for their own shortcomings. And if the human build's dominance is
We
any
are
indication,
friends.
co-opting the strengths of less intelligent builds is one of the strongest strategies you can possibly execute in the game. And it's for this reason that corvids sit proudly in S tier.
Wow.
Speaking of builds with a high success rate within the city biome, another creature that thrives in cities is the centipede.
Yeah.
With their quick, twitchy movement and flat shape, they have no trouble weaving through all of the nooks and crannies common in urban environments.
Centipede.
This is the subject of my next video.
So make sure you join us there for a millipede video. It's not going to be very fair because that means I'm getting 2 TierZoo videos back to back on my channel.
I'm taking the millipede video.
Oh, you're going to watch the thing about bugs?
Yeah, it'll be awful.
What if I trade you 2 Frank videos for the millipede tier video?
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, back to corvids. I know they're highly intelligent. I know they're incredibly popular. I know they exist everywhere. But him admitting they're S tier is actually very impressive.
I'm so happy because normally the animals that I rank super high, he doesn't. So I'm glad that we were finally able to find common ground.
The intelligence being maxed, the mobility being darn near maxed. Right? Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Anytime that intelligence starts getting lower and their mobility is real low, it's like, bro, where you going? You're a dumb tank.
Yeah.
You're a tank that can't move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I really like how he was like, their greatest strength is their ability to essentially manipulate other creatures.
They do what we do. I feed dogs till my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's something you've seen a lot in these vids that we've watched, but seeing TierZoo's take on it is really fun. Now, I am sad that he didn't do the tier as much of the TierZoo.
To be fair, this is our crow's OP, not the bird tier list.
Oh, that's right. This is the OP question. That's right. So we'll see you guys in the next vid. I think we have a Zafrank video coming up next, actually.
We surely do.
So we'll go back to your channel for Zafrank.
Yep.
And then we'll trade. And the next time I'll get the TierZoo, you'll get the Zafrank.
No.
I'll see you guys around. You'll see my wife. Peace.